The purpose of Orange Capital Partners is to generate wealth by investing in technologically driven disruption with large social impact. Today, I want to talk about reverse disruption, the example Intel, and explain why we put on a large options position in Intel, and also explain what we mean with reverse disruption. But before I go there, I want to give an update. Today, the fund is up 4%, the market is up 1%. For the year, we are up 132%. The market is down 1%. This is the Not Even Drawn podcast. It's July 14th, 2020. This is Krim Delco. What do I mean with reverse disruption? I think the best is just to give the example. So we put on a large position in Intel. We bought long-term calls, upside calls, and I don't want to go into details of what kind of calls and what maturity and all that, but just suffice to say that if Intel stock doubles in the next 18 months, we will make a lot of money. And here's why. Here's what we're thinking. So Intel is a stock, a company that is considered being disrupted. Intel is a dinosaur. Intel is finished. Intel has founded Silicon Valley. The invention of the microprocessor, the legendary management under Andy Grove, Gordon Moore, Robert Noyce, and a lot of other people. Most of Silicon Valley came out of Intel. Intel was the first company that took the risk, created something new, and then the alumni of Intel started funding other companies. And this is how this ecosystem actually grew to what it is today. Unfortunately for Intel and its shareholders, today Intel is considered being disrupted. It's being disrupted by other companies that are coming up with new ideas of solving the same problem, which is adding compute at an efficient or low cost. Now, part of the reason is because Intel has been driving Moore's Law. Gordon Moore formulated Moore's Law as manager at Intel, and Intel has been driving Moore's Law to the extent that we got to the point where, we have now iPhones and all kinds of things, microprocessors and everything. But Moore's Law is ending. The physical limitation of Moore's Law are showing. I think David Patterson, professor at Berkeley and creator of the RISC computer architecture, has said that on many occasions. I take him as an authority, so I believe that what he's saying has merit. So the physical limitation of Moore's Law are showing, and Intel is suffering. Intel has to get out of this pigeonhole of trying to push Moore's Law when it's really hard to do that. So Intel is being attacked from below, from lateral, and from the top. Startups, companies that are building on the RISC architecture, on ARM architecture, which is the main design company, which is creating the RISC, which is helping RISC architecture being propelled across many different type of microprocessing solutions, is one way that Intel is being attacked. And I think the recent move by Apple to get away from Intel CPUs and use ARM is a good example of how serious that is. Then we have the lateral movements like NVIDIA, which is using GPUs and kind of moving into Intel space, using GPUs for machine learning, but also general computing. And then we also have the top, which means very highly sophisticated special purpose microprocessors are being developed for things like self-driving cars and for machine learning in the data center, etc. In general, there's what the computing world calls accelerators are being used in many different occasions to accelerate computing, and therefore Intel's dominance in the data center and in other areas, even like the PC or the Mac, are being under threat. Hence, the stock trades like a disrupted company, very low double-digit PE ratio in a time when stocks like Microsoft trade at 30-40 times PE. So Intel is growing, but has had to suffer multiple compression. Now our bet is that this will reverse, that Intel will be a beneficiary of what we call reverse disruption. What do we mean with that? I wrote a blog post today to explain exactly what we mean with that, and there's a little bit of math there. So I don't want to bring that up in the podcast, but in words, what I'm trying to explain is that a stock is, in essence, driven by its disruptive power, its beta, and the market return. So you have a disruption or its disruptive power. I call that D. I have the beta, which is the old capital asset pricing model beta, which is the sensitivity of the stock to the market, and then you have the market itself. Now let's focus on D, which is the disruptive power. Disruptors, by definition, have disruptive power. Amazon, Apple, Google, they are disruptors. Tesla, they have disruptive power, and that's the main driver of their stock. Now, our thesis is that this D can also have a disruptive power through reverse disruption. And what we mean with that is that incumbent companies can benefit from disruption and take that to their advantage. A great example is Microsoft. Microsoft was at the risk of being disrupted by cloud computing. However, the company took cloud computing, internalized it, and took it to their advantage. So, in judo terms, it was attacked by cloud computing. It used the energy of cloud computing and turned it around and used it to their advantage. In detail, Microsoft was able to capitalize on cloud computing because they had very good relationships with enterprise customers. Enterprise customers moved to the cloud. Microsoft was the gatekeeper for that, and today the stock is at all-time high with a market cap of 1.5 trillion. And Satya Nadella, of course, has a lot of credit for that, but overall, it was also the positioning and the strategy of Microsoft as a whole that helped the company become a reverse disruptor. We believe that Intel can follow those footsteps. Intel, as I said, is being disrupted by other companies, but they can take advantage by the current situation, which is in specifically the COVID crisis is forcing everybody to go digital. In a time like that, you have to go back to, like I say, to Papa, to the old guy, the guy who's been around for a long time. They have to deliver the integrated solutions for many, many customers to go that digital route. What I mean with that is that in a normal world, without this COVID crisis, we would have probably some sort of sneaking disruption in the Intel business, because on the high end, people would do what they need to do, get in accelerators, maybe use a little bit more NVIDIA or use a little bit more AMD, which is a little bit cheaper, or go to ARM. And you have this slowly creeping disruption which could threaten Intel. But in this very fast moving move toward digitalization, people have to work remote, people have to do payments without cash, people have to have security solution for remote work, people have to deliver products. All of a sudden everything is going digital. I just bought my Tesla and everything is touchless, online, on the phone, like there's no people involved anymore. This requires an enormous amount of compute, an enormous amount of solutions. And Intel is very well positioned to take advantage of this move and offer integrated solutions, because this is what a disrupted company does. They use their core competency and then offers integrated solutions. So they offer a one-stop shop for people to get solutions done fast and secure and safe. This is the strength of Intel, and we believe that the dynamics right now in the marketplace are such that the demand for their products and solutions will grow. Another example why we believe Intel can become a reverse disruptor is what we call the DRAM problem. Now, the DRAM problem in a nutshell is that we have so much demand for memory that DRAM, which is the main physical substrate, it's just a form of computer chip that is used to store memory, and it's called DRAM, dynamic random access memory. Now, there is a problem there, that is, if you cram too much DRAM onto a chip, it becomes vulnerable to attacks. Intel is a large DRAM manufacturer and producer, and they are part of that market. And again, this is something where I believe that instead of going with the cheapest and fastest, some Asian competitor, I think people will go back to Papa, go back to the old guy. The guy's been around forever, and look for better solutions for better safety. And on top of that, Intel has another memory product, which is what they call persistent memory. And without going into too much detail here, it's another product that will, in our view, propel Intel's growth. So in a nutshell, we believe that Intel can grow, high double digit, if not 20+% for the next couple of quarters, that there will be a multiple expansion on top of that growth, and that we could see a doubling of the stock in the next 18 months, which would help us make money in the portfolio through the options positions that we took. The reason we took options positions is because this is a specific bet on a timely reversal of the trend. So when you have timing on your side, we recommend options because options are about timing. If you have a view on a stock, but you're not sure about timing, you should buy the stock, or vice versa, short it if you have a negative view. But if you have timing on your side, you can use options, which is more efficient, gives you leverage, and gives you higher upside if you're right. So to summarize, reverse disruption is the other side of the coin. You have a disruptive force, you've identified the disruptive force, and now you have to find the vehicles which give you the best wealth creation opportunity. And Intel is a good example of a company which is not disrupting itself, but can take advantage of disruption, and due to valuation and the wrong view of the market as far as the disruption and the reverse disruption potential is concerned, due to the wrong view of the market, there is an opportunity to make money, and we are therefore invested in long-term upside call option in Intel. As usual, this is not investment advice. This is us sharing our thoughts and giving a feel and a flavor for what it means to run a fund. Please do your own work, consider your own ideas, and invest according to your own ideas. This is just a help for people to learn how to think about investments, and we're giving examples such as Intel. So this is not investment advice. Thank you.